The room did not react at first. It simply held the weight of those 6 words like a sealed chamber resisting the pressure of an explosion. The lampshade on the wooden desk flickered once, then steadied, casting a pale, exhausted light across 3 faces, each carrying a different shade of disbelief. James felt the sentence like a physical blow. Not sudden, but slow, as though it seeped into his bones, hollowing them out from the inside. His mother stood only a few steps away, but she looked distant, blurred by the heat rising behind his eyes. Diep's breath had stopped in her throat. She stood frozen, one hand still hovering near James's shoulder as though time itself had paused mid-gesture. Outside, the rain pressed against the window with clinical persistence. Inside, silence spread like frost. His mother did not repeat herself. She simply watched him, arms rigid at her sides, fingers curled into fists she did not realize she was making. Her eyes were too bright, too wide, as though she herself could not believe she had finally spoken aloud the truth she had buried for years. "Explain," James said. His voice was low, steady, but carrying the colorless tone of someone standing at the edge of collapse. "Tell me everything." His mother inhaled, then seated herself on the corner of the bed, as though what she was about to say required a foundation beneath her. She clasped her hands tightly, knuckles whitening. "I need you to understand one thing first," she said. "Nothing about this was your fault." Nothing. The words hung uselessly. Adults like to begin with disclaimers, as if front-loading comfort could soften the fall. James's eyes didn't even flicker. "Who?" he asked. His mother lowered her gaze to the floor, tracing some invisible crack in the wooden planks. When she finally spoke, her voice was stripped of ornament, of warmth, bare truth delivered in the tone of a confession long overdue. "Your real father was a journalist." A strange, merciless stillness filled the room. He worked undercover. Investigated government land seizures, corporate laundering, the timber monopolies, things people aren't supposed to look too closely at. He exposed people who believed themselves untouchable. She paused. One of those people was the man you grew up calling father. Diep's head snapped toward her. "So, he knew?" "He knew," the woman said, her voice tightening. "He knew everything, and he hated everything your real father represented." James felt the air thicken. His breathing hitched faintly. "What happened to him?" James asked. His mother hesitated. When she answered, her tone was sterile, almost clinical, perhaps the only way she could bear to recount the memory. They never found his body. The rain outside accelerated, as though pressing harder to be heard. They said he disappeared during an assignment. But I knew the risks. He knew them too. When I was 2 months pregnant with you, he told me if anything ever went wrong, anything at all, I had to disappear. Change my life. Protect the child. James leaned forward, elbows on his knees, forehead resting against clasped hands. It was a gesture of someone trying to maintain structure while the floor disintegrated beneath them. So you married him, James said. The man I thought was my father. I didn't marry him, she corrected. I was bought. Even Diep flinched. It wasn't a marriage. It was a transaction, quiet, efficient, arranged between men who wanted control. Your stepfather wanted a respectable wife. My family wanted protection from the fallout of what happened to your real father. Everyone got what they needed. Except me. And except you. Her voice did not tremble. It was the kind of steadiness that came only after years of endurance, cold, ingrained, practiced until it became muscle memory. He knew you weren't his, she continued. He knew from the moment he signed those papers. But in his world, perception mattered more than truth. He wanted the image of a family. The legacy. Something clean on the surface, and underneath? James's tone sharpened. Underneath, she said, he resented you. Not always openly. But it was there, in the way he watched you, the way he measured every achievement of yours as if waiting for it to falter. You reminded him of the man who ruined him, publicly humiliated him, exposed his dealings. And when you grew older, you became a threat. Not because of what you did, but because of what you represented. James felt something icy slide down his spine. My entire life, he murmured, I was living inside someone else's grudge. His mother closed her eyes. Yes. Diep took a step closer, but didn't touch him yet. James wasn't fragile, but he was volatile, like steel heated to the edge of bending. The woman continued, he wanted control. Over me, over you, over every story that threatened his world. And you, without knowing anything, started walking the same path your real father once walked. The investigative work. The questions. The files he wasn't supposed to find. He showed you his true face the moment he believed you were no longer useful, she said. Or worse, dangerous. The room felt airless. James didn't move. He didn't cry. He simply sat there, absorbing each detail with the kind of silent, devastating comprehension found only in people whose innocence had just been killed for the final time. Diep swallowed hard. So when he attacked James, when he tried to corner him, it wasn't because of the project. It was never about the project, his mother said. It was about eliminating the last loose end from a story he thought he buried decades ago. James exhaled slowly, shakily. He tried to finish what he started with my real father. His mother did not contradict him. That was answer enough. The society they belonged to. Outside, the rain had turned the street into a sheet of reflective black glass. The kind of night where secrets seeped out of alleyways and the city exhaled things better left unsaid. Inside that room, the world shrank to 3 people and the truth now stretching like a shadow across all of them. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" James asked. "I wanted to," she said, "but secrecy was the only protection left." "If he knew I had told you, he would have destroyed us both. Power in this country works quietly, like rot. By the time you see it, it's everywhere." The words had the cold edge of someone who had lived long enough to understand how corruption moved, silently, efficiently, without ever raising its voice. "You were safer not knowing," she added, "but safety is a fragile thing. And it's gone now." James felt the weight of that statement settle like dust on old photographs, undisturbed for years, suddenly exposed to air. The consequence of truth. "What do we do now?" he asked. His mother looked at him with an expression that blended love and fear so tightly it was impossible to distinguish one from the other. "You leave," she said. "You disappear before he finishes what he started." "He already thinks I'm gone," James said quietly. Her expression darkened. "Then you must make it true." Diep stepped forward, finally placing a hand on his shoulder. Her palm was warm, grounding. "You're not doing this alone," she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes carried a different message, one of fear, loyalty, and something deeper. The mother studied Diep for a long moment. When she spoke again, her tone was different, lower, colder, pragmatic in the way of someone accustomed to calculating risk. "You care for him," she said. "Yes," Diep answered without hesitation. "Then understand this," the woman said. "What's coming is bigger than both of you. Bigger than family or loyalty. This is a world where journalists disappear without headlines. Where powerful men rewrite history with money and silence. Where a misplaced truth can be a death sentence." Diep did not look away. "I know." James found her hand and tightened his grip, not out of fear, but clarity. A new kind of resolve was building in him. Slow, controlled, razor sharp, he stood. The movement was deliberate, precise, like someone shedding the last remnants of his old self. "When do we leave?" he asked. His mother exhaled shakily, relief mingled with dread. "Tonight, before he realizes you're alive." the house they abandon, they packed quietly. No wasted movement. No unnecessary words. The mother moved through the room with an efficiency born from years of preparing for the moment she prayed would never come. James folded documents into a thin envelope. Diep checked the windows, the corridor, the stairwell, instinctively mapping exits like a reporter in hostile territory. It took only 20 minutes to erase the traces of their stay. Before leaving, James paused at the doorway. He looked back at the room, the dim light, the worn furniture, the quiet bed that had held his exhaustion and fear just hours earlier. A temporary shelter. A temporary truth. All of it would be left behind. The night that held no mercy. The rain had softened, but the streets glistened with a slick, metallic sheen. A motorcycle passed without headlights, a dog barked somewhere behind a closed gate, and the city breathed the way it always did after midnight, calm on the surface, dangerous underneath. They walked in silence, three silhouettes cutting through the wet air. At the corner, a black sedan turned slowly into the street. The timing was too perfect, too deliberate. Diep stiffened. James felt his mother grip his arm, her breath catching. The sedan rolled to a stop, its window lowered with deliberate slowness. Inside sat the man James had spent his whole life calling father. No anger on his face. No surprise. Just the quiet, suffocating certainty of someone who controlled the outcome long before the game began. Going somewhere? His voice was smooth, polished, deadly. James felt Diep's hand grip his tightly. His mother whispered only one word, barely audible, but sharp enough to cut air. Run. Quote,